Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network. 29 stations, AM and FM stations across the great state of Michigan, and glad to have you along with us. How has your week been? What have you done? Anything fun? Anything in the outdoors? I'm hoping that you have, certainly. Oh, and by the way, can you believe that we're in the month of August already? What in the world happened to this summer? I know it's not over yet. There's a long ways from being over yet, but we're starting to work that direction. We're into August now. August to me in years past, used to mean time spent over on Lake Michigan. Oh, I got to make it. Oh, Charlie, I got to tell you something here. We're going to call Tom Campbell halfway through this segment, okay? And you need his number, don't you? Yeah, well, in a few minutes here. All right, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up my contacts here. And I'm sorry, Charlie, I should have done this before. I'm going to do it on here. They've announced that they're canceling the Woods and Water show. Yep. Not a surprise, right? Contacts, TOM. How professional is this? We're going to call them on that work number right there. All right, we got it. I just screwed up my Facebook Live, so oh well. It used to mean for me going over to Lake Michigan and fishing salmon. Love that. The first couple of weeks in August, we were after kings, usually out of Manistee, sometimes Muskegon, Ludington, maybe Frankfort. Then in later years, the month of August to me meant going to White River, Ontario, Canada on a bear hunt. Well, obviously, we're not doing that this year. I'm so glad that we're going to be able to go to Seney and hunt with Johnny Bowler. We're not going to bring him in for a few more minutes yet, Charlie, if you don't mind. I'm just giving you a little bit of a heads up, although I gave you a heads up at the last minute, didn't I? I have been out on Saginaw Bay, struggling, not doing very well. On my last trip, I think I got 1 or 2 fish, and I was darn glad to get those. But, this is the time of year when that traditionally happens. There will be reports of people getting limits of fish. I know it's always the case, but I won't be one of them. I struggle when it gets to be this time of year. I did have an interesting catch the other day, though. I was out there by myself. I decided I wanted to make a solo trip because I wanted to experiment with some different baits, some different tactics, some different techniques, and some different water. So I didn't want to take somebody out there as I was experimenting because I didn't think it would be a fair trip to them. And I got into some weeds, which is common this time of year. You're going to see some weeds. I got into some weeds and didn't realize it. And because there was a pretty good chop, I had one of my baits get weeded up and come to the surface. Common. Happens all the time. And because it was a kind of bumpy that day, I couldn't see it right away. I saw a seagull back there flying around. I thought, I wonder if I've got a bait on the surface. I looked and I didn't think I did. I went around, did something at the helm of the Angler Quest, and then I hear a reel start to go zzzz, like you would if you were salmon fishing. Well, when you're walleye fishing, you don't hear that sound unless something is wrong. Turned around, my board had disappeared, and I see a seagull out there squawking, and I thought, oh no. I know exactly what happened. This isn't my first rodeo. I've done this before. When the bait came to the surface, it's out there, flopping on the surface. A seagull sees this and says, oh, that's a minnow. It's an injured minnow. It's an easy meal. The seagull swoops down. He grabs that bait. It was a number 7 flicker shad, by the way. He grabbed that bait and took off with it. Well, now I got my hands full. I was able to reel the bird in get my hands on him. And actually, I posted a picture of this on the Facebook page. And he actually, I admit, it looks like a duck because it's an immature seagull. He's still kind of gray and kind of downy, but he can fly. I got my hands on him without him scratching me or pecking at me. He was hooked just in the tip of his bill. I was able to take some pliers and take the hook out. Cool. Great story. Kind of fun. Bird's not hurt. I can release it. Not that I'm a big fan of seagulls, but I don't want to hurt it. So I got him by the neck. I throw the bird up in the air so he can fly away, and he does. He flies away to my left. He flies right into my other planer board and gets hung up in that. I'm not saying that any seagulls are smart, but this one was definitely on the stupid side. He gets somehow hung up in my other offshore. I got an offshore OR-12 out there with a tattle flag. He somehow gets hung up in that. I start to reel that board in, and he came untangled and he flew away. So that was kind of the highlight of my fishing trip. I'm thinking it's almost time to switch over to perch fishing. But I never have any luck with perch. I can't find perch, and if I do find them, I don't have a lot of luck catching them. So maybe it's time. Woods-n-Waternews. They've been out. Yeah, call them if you would, Charlie. Good idea. They've canceled. They've canceled their show. The big outdoor weekend. I don't blame them. If you would have told me back in March that we would still be dealing with COVID in September, I would have told you we're crazy. But obviously, that's the case. I can't do any Wednesday Night Live events right now where I try to bring people into the restaurants. I can't try to bring a big crowd of people into Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse. I can't try to bring a big crowd of people into the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch right now. It wouldn't be legal and it wouldn't be safe and maybe ethical, depending on how much you buy into this whole thing. But, the rules are the rules. The law is the law. It's the law of the land, the rules of the land. So, they've been doing that outdoor weekend for 33 years. 33 years. Tom's with us on the phone line right now. And Tom, I was just saying that I'm sure this decision to cancel the show for this year was not an easy one, but it probably, realistically, was the only choice you had, wasn't it?
Actually, absolutely, Mike. And it really wasn't our choice, with everything out there, all the rules and regulations and recommendations that we had to follow. We just couldn't do it safe, responsible, and being liable to everybody. And it was the toughest decision we've made probably in 34 years for sure. Absolutely.
This was to be your 34th show or your 35th?
This would have been 34.
34.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah, it sure was.
A lot of disappointed people, but I'm sure nobody more disappointed than you guys there at the offices of Woods-n-Waternews.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, we always complained about how much work it was, and, we always worried about this and worried about that and worried about the weather. But, honestly, when those weekends came together and they were a success, you just felt great about it. And everybody, you saw all the showgoers had a good time. The exhibitors did well. They were satisfied. So, you always had that set of satisfaction for, doing something good for the outdoor community and having it turn out. So, yeah, that's disappointing. Financially, it's very disappointing. So, yeah, it's a tough, but we share that financial burden. There's a lot of other show exhibitors and vendors that have come for 34 years.
Yeah.
They've always done good business at the outdoor weekend, and in a year that they're already hurting, they could have really used it. And I know, talking to a lot of vendors, they needed to know too. On the other hand, Mike, we wanted to keep dragging on, but it wasn't fair to the vendors. They needed to know inventory. They needed to know, how many workers they were going to need, all logistics that go into attending a show. So we had to be fair to them and give them time to realize it. And so far, they all understand.
Oh,
I think everybody is understanding, and and I feel bad for all the groups and clubs that that was a big fundraiser for so many Pheasants Forever groups and turkey federations and Ducks Unlimited and all kinds of veteran organizations where they sold raffle tickets or had fundraisers at the outdoor weekend. Local civic groups, our Rotary Club, our Lions Club, they're all taking a hit. The fairgrounds is taking a hit.
Everybody,
our community is going to take a hit.
Well, it's going to it's going to leave a big hole. I mean, the first weekend after Labor Day, we've come to expect that the outdoor, Woods-n-Waternews Outdoor Weekend will be there to help us kick off the fall. This year, you can't do that. We understand. I mean, everybody understands, Tom, but it's disappointing, and let's just hope and pray that next year. I mean, next year, full steam ahead, right?
Absolutely. We're looking at our 2021 show schedule, show span, and some of those, and everybody's hedging already on some of those. Here's what's going to happen if we have to cancel again. So, it's awful. There's no doubt. I just hope we get through this quickly, more quickly, and we can get back to some sort of normalcy and continue on. But, we've pledged that, we're going to make next year's 2020 outdoor weekend better than ever. All
right, Tom. Listen, I appreciate that. In the meantime, you've still got the magazine, woods-n-waternews.com. Sorry to hear about this decision, but obviously it was the right decision. We'll talk again soon. Tom Campbell of Woods and Water News. John Eberhart coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. You can hear us in Muskegon on WKBZ 1090 AM. And north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Great Lakes Charter Training. If you've ever wanted to be a licensed captain, I think this is the way to go. It's the way I got my charter captain's license. But that license, it allows me to run a towboat, dive boat, touring boat, anything. If you're going to be on the water and take people for hire, you need to be a licensed captain, and I think Great Lakes Training is the way to go. Check them out online at glctraining.com, glctraining.com. It's 7 to 9 days of pretty intense classes all day long. You take a Coast Guard test at the end of it, but the folks at Great Lakes Training will guarantee you'll pass your test, and that's no small feat. So the website, glctraining.com, glctraining.com. Tell them Avery sent you. A lot of people here in our state now are starting to think about deer season. I know there's a certain group of people who never stop thinking about deer season. I get that. When you talk about deer hunting in Michigan, there are some names that come up. John Eberhart is one of those names. I call him the Whitetail Whisperer. John has been in the outdoor industry his entire life now. He's known as a guy who shoots big bucks on public land, small parcels of land here in Michigan. And in the last few years, he got into education. And he started using video as well on YouTube. But now he's taken that to the next level. And he started a new YouTube channel called Eberhart Outdoors on YouTube. And it's off to a great start, as you would imagine. And John is with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line to talk a little bit more about this. John, welcome back. How you doing?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing great. I love that name, Whitetail Whisperer.
Yeah, well, it's so appropriate for you. I mean, that you are the Whitetail Whisperer, and I hope you promote yourself as such.
I actually should, but I should. I feel it's egotistical for me to say that.
But I can call you that, though, right?
You can call me that. And another nickname that the owners of Tethered gave me was the Godfather of saddle hunting, because I've been doing that for so long.
Well, isn't that interesting? Because saddle hunting has become really hot and really cool and the in thing to do. And now there's a lot of people out there, so-called experts, but nobody's been doing it longer than John Eberhart.
That would be a pretty safe assumption. Yes. And there are a lot of companies it's gotten so big that a lot of the big tree stand manufacturers are getting into the category. Hawk just came out with a new saddle. It'll be in some stores this fall. And while I'm on Tethered's pro staff, I promote the category as a whole because I just think it helps you get on more deer if you do it correctly. But Hawk's coming out with one. Trophy Line will be back in stores next year. New Tribe has some. I'm not a big fan of New Tribes, but and there's a lot of other small manufacturers making them. But one thing I really want to advise people, if you're looking at getting into saddle hunting, make sure you talk to the owner, because a lot of these almost all of them right now are sold online. Make sure you talk to somebody at the company and make sure that they have liability insurance, because if they don't have liability insurance, all the materials used to make a saddle are going to be weight-bearing enough by far to support your weight, but how it's actually constructed and stitched will dictate if it will support a fall. And TMA does these 300-pound drop tests, so Tethered won't sell anything off the ground. Sticks, aiders, steps, anything where you're using it off the ground, the company should have liability insurance. Usually it's $2 million per incident. That way it's going to be constructed correctly to pass the drop test, where they physically put a mannequin that weighs 300 pounds in the saddle. They buckle it in according to whatever the saddle comes with, and my new Eberhart signature saddle will have a waist belt, which is weight-bearing. And then they drop it 6 feet, and it comes to an immediate stop. So if it's a saddle where everything is not made right, the mannequin can oftentimes slip through the bottom because the leg straps typically won't support it. So if it's a saddle that doesn't have the proper waist belt to hold everything in place for the fall, it won't pass, and then it's very, very difficult to get liability insurance.
Does TMA certification mean anything at all?
They don't certify it, because to get TMA certification, you have to have a 5-point system. TMA is owned by a bunch of tree stand manufacturers. It's called Tree Stand Manufacturer Association. Mm-hmm. So a lot of stores, whether it be mass merchants or large independents, they won't carry any tree stands if they're not TMA certified, approved. They will have a TMA sticker on it. But none of the saddles out there have shoulder straps. So they only have 3-point systems. They got a waist belt and they have leg support, so that go underneath your thighs. So they have a 3-point, not a 5-point. So TMA will still offer the 300-pound. There's 3 different 300-pound drop tests that they do. They still offer those, and if you pass them with a saddle, it's easier to get liability insurance, and it's a little less money if it passes TMA. But most of the saddle guys out there selling stuff online, these small companies, do not have insurance, and they have not passed TMA testing. All right, and that goes with I'm talking sticks. I mean, there's guys in this thing now selling all kinds of stuff, sticks and steps and aiders, and most of those companies do not have liability insurance. And if you've got your kids or your spouse and your loved ones hunting out of that stuff, I would sure want to know that it's going to be safe.
Yeah, good point. I appreciate you bringing that up, John. Why the YouTube channel? What's it all about?
Well, it's kind of what we've talked about. There's just so much stuff out there on YouTube that's done by people, and I kind of understand it. Everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to show what they're doing. But it's people that haven't used the stuff. They haven't made a lot of kills out of the items. I see a lot of saddle hunting YouTube videos, and I just don't agree with how they're hunting. The way they're moving around the tree, it's easy to get picked. They're hunting off of platforms, which there's nothing wrong with a platform as long as you got steps on the backside of the tree to move around and use the tree as a blocker. There's just a lot of YouTube stuff out there by guys that have never killed anything. And of my 50 record book bucks, 44 of them were shot out of a saddle. So, and Michigan's the toughest state in the country. I got 31 in Michigan. So it's you've got to know how to maneuver around the tree and keep the tree as a blocker, and when to make your movements, and got to keep your steps kind of close together so you're not making any rigid movements where gravity might take your body over for a half a second. You just got to have total control of yourself and know how to use a saddle to take full advantage of it. Because if you're hunting off of a platform with nothing on the backside of the tree, and you've got a deer coming in from, let's say, your 6 o'clock, which is behind you, or your 5 o'clock, which is off to your right, or your 4 o'clock off to your right if you're right-handed, that's a difficult shot. And the way they show it on a lot of these videos is the guys are actually standing on their platform straight up, and then they will spin their body around 180 degrees and take that shot. And that's just a lot of movement on the same side of the tree as the deer is. And in a pressured area or pressured state, that much movement, when the foliage is down, you're just going to get picked. That's all there is to it. You are going to occasionally get picked. And, the ideal scenario is to move around to the back side of the tree. So you got the tree as a 180, it's a total blocking your body, and then you just slip off to the left side of the tree. Once you're swung around to the back side of the tree, you just slightly lean to your left and take that 4 or 5 o'clock shot. And then it's just a regular right-handed shot.
I've looked at a couple of your early videos on the channel, and you're doing more than just saddle hunting, though, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. This is going to be just instructional bow hunting or deer hunting in general 101. I'm doing videos on boots and saws, and I'll have scent control, rain gear, what I carry in my hunting pack, what I carry in my scouting pack. It's going to be anything to do with deer hunting, and we fish a lot. It's going to be me and my 2 boys, and we fish a lot. We're going to have a lot of fishing videos on there next year. My son John's a walleye fanatic, and I'm a fishing fanatic, and so is Joe. So we're just going to do a lot of family-oriented stuff as well, but it's going to be primarily focused on making yourself a better bow hunter. It's going to a lot of gear videos. What's the best of each category when it comes to hunting gear. I did one yesterday, and I found out this new pair of boots. It's not new. They've been around since 1936, and they're made in the United Kingdom, and they're called gum leaf. And I was blown away. I ordered a pair, and the quality of the rubber is like what they used to be back in the 70s. I'm still hunting out of Red Ball boots that I bought in the late 70s. And the boots you buy now in rubber have a lot of clay in them. They're 30 to 50% rubber, and the rest is all fillers. These gum leaf boots are 85% rubber. And I mean, when you get them, and they're not cheap. They're $240 to $350, but I guarantee they'll last somebody 40, 50 years. And they're also handmade, so they're kind of custom fit to your heel and your ankle and your calf. They're quite unique, and I was blown away. I'd never heard about them, but then when I found out what they're made for upland bird hunting in Europe. That's why they're handmade, and they have a better fit, is because they're designed for walking as opposed to sitting. So you can walk all day in them and still have, your feet are still comfortable. You can't do that with most normal rubber boots or neoprene boots.
Do you have a lot of these videos already in the can, already shot, or are you starting out fresh from scratch?
I have about 40 shows ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of them are on scouting, preparing, tree preparation, shooting lane preparation, because when I'm on private property where I've, got free permission for knocking on somebody's door, there's always other hunters. And when I see some of the way their trees are prepared, they would struggle to get a shot because their shooting lanes are almost non-existent. And so there's a lot of stuff on shooting lanes, how to pick out the shooting lane, how high you need to get up in the tree according to the time of year you're going to be hunting it. If it's an early season location where you're going to have a lot of foliage, you can get away with being 18 feet or 20 feet. But once the foliage is down, which is when most bucks are shot, is during the rut phases, you need to be up there a little bit higher. Unless it's a big enough tree where you're hunting out of a saddle, you can move around the tree and keep the tree as a blocker.
We're talking with the Whitetail Whisperer, John Eberhart, about his new YouTube channel. It's Eberhart Outdoors on YouTube. There's also his website, eberhartswhitetailworkshop.com, eberhartswhitetailworkshop.com. Got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, I want to talk with more with John about this channel, why the video route, and I think it's pretty exciting, to be honest with you, when you can go to YouTube and see John Eberhart, the Whitetail Whisperer, talking to you about how to become a better deer hunter. How cool is that? You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK, that's 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Flint on Super Talk 1570 WWCK. And north of the bridge in Newberry, WNBY 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Speedy Blaze. Have you tried Speedy Blaze yet? If not, I really think you should. It's a safe, clean, water-resistant to alternative. It's safe to cook over. You can start a fire quickly. You can use it in your campfire. You can use it in your camp stove. You can use it in your fireplace. It's almost impervious to moisture. I mean, you can throw it in the back of the truck, in the camper, campsite. Even if it gets rained on, you can still use it. The packs come with fire starters. It's easy to start. They burn hot, they burn clean, and they burn a long time. And they're based right here in Michigan. SpeedyBlaze.com is the company. SpeedyBlaze.com is the website, I should say. Michigan-based Speedy Blaze. By the way, we give away Speedy Blaze every Wednesday night on my Wednesday night live segments on the Mike Avery Outdoors YouTube channel and the Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page as well. Speaking of YouTube, John Eberhart, the Whitetail Whisperer, has a new YouTube channel. It's called Eberhart Outdoors on YouTube, and you can check out his website as well, eberhartswhitetailworkshop.com. John, in the last couple of years, you have really embraced this concept of education and getting the word out. Why is that?
Oh, because I think the industry needs it. You know, people watch a lot of the TV stuff, and you and I have had this conversation a lot over the years, and the TV stuff is just not conducive for the average blue-collar hunter because those guys are like hunting in a zoo for the most part, and most people don't have that opportunity. If you ever notice when some of these big-name TV guys, when they have their hunting challenges, that's never on their property. They have other hunters hunting on some other properties. It's never on theirs because I think most of those guys know a good blue-collar hunter would probably kick their butt. I'm serious. That's just my personal opinion because when you hunt places where there's zero competition, it's in tons and tons of mature bucks, it's pretty easy to make yourself look good.
So is your channel designed for the average person, the average weekend warrior?
Without a doubt, it's a blue collar. It's going to be a blue collar show. There's going to be, you know what? There's one thing, Mike. If a blue collar guy that hunts heavily pressured property or small parcels in a section where there's 30 different property owners and everybody's got somebody hunting on it, if they can kill 2.5-year-old bucks, they could kill deer anywhere. So even for a guy that has managed property, if you learn how to hunt and you learn how to set up locations based on security cover, because I don't care where you're at, even on managed property, big bucks, as they age, they get more security cover oriented, just like people do. The older we get, the smarter we get, and we have different security precautions than teenagers. And so anything that I'm going to be promoting on there, it doesn't matter what type of property you have, it's going to make you more successful if you tend to hunt where you're paying attention and setting up locations with adequate security cover for daytime movements by a mature buck. But the show is definitely based for blue collar guys.
And speaking of pressure, one of your early videos I saw, I didn't see the whole thing yet, just the beginning of it, but you're standing in the corner of a field, and as you look around, there are 6 different gun blinds within sight of where you're going to set up.
Yeah, that was a piece of property where we were in there scouting and re-cleaning up a location, actually. And we walked out into the field, and from that spot, you could see 6 different gun shacks and 2 hang-on stands. And this is private property, but it's private property where everybody owns 10s and 5s and 20s, and there just happen to be 3 different property corners coming together within view. And you can see all these stands, and that's within probably a quarter of a mile vision because the foliage was down, so you had a little bit of a visual. And that is not uncommon in Michigan. I mean, I can remember I rep for Tinks since, and I had a sales manager, and we were driving up Old 27, and it was in the winter. And we're driving down there, and he's from a state where there's hardly any hunting pressure, and we counted 33 gun shacks in a mile and a half. And he says, how does a deer even survive here?
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, I think I know you're already getting a real strong response to this, and you've just recently kicked this thing off, John. I think your YouTube channel is going to be, well, I'll be honest with you, I think it's going to be huge.
Well, thank you, Mike. I hope so. I haven't put any really good stuff out there yet. I'm waiting for my Eberhart signature saddle to come in. It's supposed to be in August, and that's when it'll be available. Because it's different than any of the other saddles that are out there. It's a 2-panel system as opposed to a single-panel seat. So I'm kind of waiting to explode my saddle videos when that is available. But right now it's been this next one that we're going to release Friday is going to be part 2 of the boots video. And I probably own 40 different pair of boots, so I kind of go through boots, and I'm talking about which ones are best for what. But I'm
telling you, I never would have thought a video about boots could be interesting. And Johnny Eberhart, you made it interesting as you do all of your topics. Check him out. His YouTube channel, Eberhart Outdoors on YouTube, and the website, Eberhart's whitetailworkshop.com. John Eberhart, the Whitetail Whisperer, a guy we can all learn something from. Again, the YouTube channel, Eberhart Outdoors on YouTube. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Nick Buggia, who is the new chairman of the Michigan Wildlife Council. They are back up and running. They had to take a little bit of a break because of COVID, like so many things have, but they're back up and running. We'll talk with him about that. And in our second hour, Randy Booty talking about summertime predator hunting right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Tawas, WIOS AM and FM, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe on WSJM 94.9 FM, and north of the bridge in the Sioux, ESPN 1400 WKNW. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Boning Archery. Michigan-based Boning will celebrate 75 years in the archery industry next year. They've been a leader in the archery industry since the beginning, since the days of Fred Bear. And they continue to innovate and come out with great new products these days as well. Check them out online at boning.com. That's BOHNING, boning.com. While you are online, I would ask you to check out my website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and take a look at this one as well, here for MIOutdoors.org. Here for MIOutdoors.org is the website of the Michigan Wildlife Council, and they're Here for Generations campaign. Nick Buggia is the president, the chairman of the Michigan Wildlife Council, and he joins us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Nick, welcome back. How you doing?
Good. Thanks, Mike, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, listen, I appreciate you being along with us, and congrats on your new position as the chairman.
Well, thank you. I know Matt, our former chair, he did a great job leading the council, and he's still with us. He just wanted to sort of ensure a smooth transition before his term ended, and I think we all appreciate that and his leadership, and I look forward to serving as chair. It's an honor. It is.
I would think it is an honor. Absolutely. And I think you've got 2 new members of the council, right? Because Carol Rose, who jumped over to NRC, had to be replaced, didn't she?
Yep. She's been replaced. I know Ed, that's currently on the council. He's been reappointed. And then we have Jason Garvin and T. Elliott Schaefer. Jason's from the Sault Ste. Marie area in the UP, and Elliott's from Southeast Michigan, and they're going to bring two different perspectives to the council, and I think that's more than welcome, and we look forward to their contributions. I know they have a hearing later today, Wednesday at 11 a.m. So we'll see how that goes, and looking forward to bringing them on board and working with them for the next few years.
Who is that hearing in front of? Who do you, as council members, who do you have to get approved by?
So for us, we're subject to advice and consent from the Senate.
You are, okay.
And so they do have a committee that's been formed this year that's going through what I've been told, anyways, is a lot of the governor's appointments. So I'm hoping this is just a, we're checking the box and doing a review, and I haven't heard otherwise. So I think this is just a customary hearing, and I'm hoping that later today we'll have 2 new members officially.
Oh yeah, good deal. And I think this whole COVID situation, kind of threw a monkey wrench into your plans, like it has everybody's, and you kind of, I don't want to say you were on hold, but things slowed down. But I feel like you're getting your stride again now, aren't you, Nick?
Yeah, we were kind of on hold a little bit. July 1st, we kicked off our campaign, which is a little later than usual. And then we are having meetings virtually like most everyone else. But, I would still encourage folks, they're open to the public, and there's a link on here for mioutdoors.org where you could join the meeting. Our next meeting is going to be August 17th. But, we always value public input, or at least folks tuning in to hear what we have going on. But yeah, no, it's changed quite a bit. We've had to change the focus. Our target markets in Detroit and Grand Rapids are still the same, but the way people are consuming media and they're not traveling as much, obviously, and so we've kind of had to quickly figure out how they're consuming the media and the best way to advertise to them. And so we're focused a little more on streaming services like Hulu and YouTube. We've got digital billboards now instead of permanent billboards, so we can kind of hit it when there is traffic. And a lot more on social media and some online news articles, more so than we have in the past.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed, though, Nick, is your group's commitment to fighting for our outdoor way of life and promoting hunting and fishing and shooting and trapping. I mean, that's the crux. That's the gist of what you guys are about, isn't it?
Yep, it is. And I think it's important that not only sportsmen and women, but, really our mission, non-sportsmen and women, really understand how conservation's funded in the state and across the country, and that these sale of hunting and fishing licenses go to support not only game species, but non-game and endangered species. And whether you like bird watching or, seeing an elk when you're up north, or, just catching fish here or there, all that money is that goes to support those animals is provided by license sale dollars. So I think that's an important message, and something that kind of gets lost in the day-to-day or in politics, unfortunately.
Well, yes, I agree with you there, but I also think that you guys at the Michigan Wildlife Council have been doing a very good job in getting that word out. So, Nick, keep up the good work. I'm glad things are up and running again, and I will look forward to talking with you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
Nick Buggia, the new chairman of the Michigan Wildlife Council, the website here for mioutdoors.org, here for mioutdoors.org. We will take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, Randy Booty talking about little summertime predator hunting. Now, I know a lot of people think about this as a wintertime sport. Randy hunts year-round. He's very, very good at it. And Shaun KcKeon of MUCC with an update on their On the Water program. That's all coming up in hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to the month of August, first of all. How did it get to be August already? Man, the summertime is just flying by. I realize we've had a few distractions this year, a few things that have kind of gotten in the way, that have screwed up our calendars, but it is August now. Summertime's just flying by. Welcome to hour number 2 of this week's show. Outdoor Magazine is actually a 3-hour program. It airs on 29 stations across the state of Michigan. And I think the best way to listen to the show, if you can, is on your local radio station, AM or FM affiliate, because there you can get your local news and weather and sports, even your local commercials. Maybe there's a sale or something you want to take advantage of. The show is designed as a radio show. It's recorded as a radio show. It is produced as a radio show. And first and foremost, that's what it is, a 3-hour weekly outdoor radio show. But if for some reason you can't hear all 3 hours of the show on your local affiliate, or if, God forbid, you live in some part of our state not covered by the broadcast signal of the show, you can always listen to Outdoor Magazine as a podcast. Now, hey, podcasting is hot these days. Everybody's got a podcast. And I think that's great. Podcasting is a great way to reach a lot of people. And the podcast version of the radio show is available lots of different places, including the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can hear it on the Facebook page, Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page. Also on Avery Outdoors on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Radio.com, and probably just about anywhere else where you can hear a podcast. You can hear the podcast version of the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Regardless of how you are hearing my voice, though, I do certainly appreciate it. Thank you very much. A lot of different things you could be doing, a lot of different media sources you could be consuming right now, and the fact that you are listening to me means a lot. Thank you very, very much. Let's talk about predator hunting here a little bit. Predator hunting here in Michigan and probably across the country in the last few years has grown like crazy. A lot of people, though, myself included, think of predator hunting primarily as a wintertime activity. Well, if you follow a guy named Randy Booty, you'll find out it's not strictly a wintertime activity. In fact, Randy, I've been posting pictures of him on my Outdoor Magazine Facebook page, the Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page, and the guy's at it all year round, and he's very, very, very good at it. And he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Randy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
Well, listen, tell me a little bit about yourself. I mean, you're like the master of coyote hunting here. What is it? How did you get started? How many years ago?
Well, I don't know if I'm the master at it or not, but yeah, I started probably at least 30 years ago. As you probably know, certain parts of Michigan didn't have a lot of coyotes years ago, and I guess the first coyotes I seen around here was probably in the early to mid 80s, and not too long after we seen one, I started hunting them, and wasn't very good at it. Of course, there wasn't very many of them around, and but I started hunting them in the daylight, usually a little bit before dark at night, and I just kept calling them, and it was quite a few years before I finally killed one, and it's pretty addicting, but I kept at it just off and on, not real serious, and I'd pick up maybe one or two a year at probably at the best, and but then here, I don't know how long ago, it's probably been about 4 or 5 years ago, some of the Michigan guys like Kevin Rott and Bob Abbott, they got a law passed where we could use center fires at night. Always before that, it was just rim fires at night, and them coyotes they're a pretty tough critter. The rim fire don't really kill them the best, and then when they made center fires at night, I got pretty serious at it, and I started out using digital night vision, which it works good, but you do spook a few coyotes. A lot of people won't agree with me on that, but usually the digital night vision uses it looks like a flashlight, but it shines infrared light, and there's a red glow right at the end of it. I don't think they can see the light, but they'll see that red glow, and I was spooking a few coyotes with that. So I ended up going to thermal, that's quite a game changer. A little harder to ID the animal with thermal. So, you really shouldn't start out with thermal, but thermal is amazing stuff. And, about 4 or 5 years later, here we are today.
What part of the state are you in, Randy?
I'm in the western part of the state.
Okay. Does it matter here in Michigan, though? I mean, don't we have coyotes all across our state these days?
Yes. The whole state is, everybody's got huntable coyotes around their area. I think they're pretty well dispersed. There's no shortage of coyotes. I actually think our lower peninsula has more than the UP right now.
And what is it about these things that has you so, I'm going to use the term addicted in a good way? What is it about these things that really turns you on so much?
Well, it's something that we can hunt year round, and the night hunting, since I've got into the night hunting, I really like it. It's peaceful out there, and there ain't a lot of people out and around at night like that, and they're such a hard animal to get. They're so smart that it's just a very addictive way to hunt. The first ones you get are quite a thrill because most people hunt a long time before they kill one.
Well, and you say they're a hard critter to get, but Randy, I look at your pictures. There are nights you go out and you'll get multiple coyotes in a night, and that's not unusual for you.
Well, I've been working on it for a lot of years, so I am getting better at it. I'm getting a good idea of where the coyotes are at, and I know I know what it takes to get them. There's a lot of people out there that call in just as many coyotes as I do. Like guys like Kevin Rott and Josh Mapes and George Windermere. They call in just as many coyotes as I do, but kind of where I excel is if they get in rifle range of me, they're probably not going to get away. and then also, I'm real careful about not educating them. I have a lot of property that I hunt, but I usually won't hunt a spot, not even once a month usually. Some spots I might only hunt once or twice a year because once you educate them coyotes, I don't think you're going to call them in and kill them. I kind of feel you got one good chance at that coyote. You call him in, and that's about it.
When did you make the jump over to hunting them in the summertime? Because as I was saying in the intro here, I think of predator hunting, coyote hunting as a wintertime sport, yet a lot of you hardcore guys are out there year-round now. Yes.
It was right around the same time that they made center fires legal at night. They opened up the coyote season year-round. We used to have a season on them, and I don't remember what the dates were, but it closed in the spring. I almost think it closed with fox. And so when they made it open year-round, it gave us, now basically they're open 24/7. So that's why we hunt it in the summertime. And two, it's actually some of the best hunting is in the summertime. I probably kill my most coyotes in the summertime. Wintertime, when the snow's deep, they don't like to move. They don't like walking through that deep snow any better than we do. So wintertime can be tough when you got a lot of snow, but summertimes are good. And then too, nighttime hunting, I don't like to hunt if there's very much wind. And summertime, usually at dark, the wind kind of dies down. So as long as it's not too hot, I'll probably go hunting.
Well, I would think if you're hunting coyotes in the middle of the night, a thermocell is probably your best friend.
Yeah, but, a lot of my friends use thermocells, but I usually don't use nothing. It's kind of funny. The stand right shortly after dark. I run into a few mosquitoes, and then after that, they seem to disappear. And then too, coyote hunting after dark is not hunting like most people know it. It's what us nighttime hunters do is we usually will get right out in the middle of the field. We'll stand right out in the middle of the field and call. So
listen, Randy, I got to take a break, but I want to follow up on that. That's interesting. You're not hiding off in the shadows. You're not hiding and hunkered down in the fence row. You're out in the middle of a field. We're talking with Randy Booty, a master coyote hunter. You can see pictures of Randy on my Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page. He posts regularly, and I share those. We'll take a break. Lots more with Randy coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Battle Creek on WBCK. That's 95.3 FM. You can hear us in Caro on WKYO 1360 AM and in Sheboygan on Big Country Gold WCBY AM and FM 1240 AM 100.7 FM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination in your mid-Michigan tracker and angler quest headquarters. You know I love that. We were out for a cruise the other day and just running up the shoreline, and we made a trip into Linwood Beach from the water. And it's amazing and impressive the number of angler quest boats that are in Linwood Beach. You know I love angler quest. I love Linwood Beach as well. Check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. We're talking right now about summertime predator hunting, and that means summertime coyote hunting, with Randy Booty. Randy is an expert when it comes to nighttime predator hunting here in Michigan. Randy, you might have mentioned this, and if so, I apologize, but when they went to the center fire after dark, making it legal, what gun did you go with?
I use mostly AR-15s. The guns I use when the furs are good is usually 224 Valkyrie, a little easier on the hide. I am using that right now, but I also use AR-15 and 6.5 Grendel. I should mention too, when they made center fires legal at night, it has to be 269 thousandths or smaller bullet.
Exactly. Yeah, anything under 270, basically.
Yes, 270 is not legal, but 6.5, 260 Remington is.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point, and this might be a little bit of a touchy subject, Randy, and I apologize. You talk about in the wintertime when the furs are good. So, and people will ask, well, you're not eating them. Why do you shoot them? And I understand there are some very valid reasons there. But in the summertime, what are you doing with those critters?
I have a local lady that takes everyone I can bring her, and I guess she makes craft stuff out of it. I never asked what parts of the animal she uses, but she takes everyone I can kill. So that works out good. Otherwise, you just throw them out and or bury them, just dispose of them. But
sure.
It's more, predator control, trying to keep the population somewhat in check, because they do really prey on small game and fawns.
Can we keep the population in check, even as much as you guys are out there working on them? Are you making any headway?
I think so, because I got areas where it appears like I really knocked the population down. I'm sure they'll filter right back in there, but it keeps them down for a while. The best time to knock the population down is obviously just before the does start having their fawns. If you can get them out of an area, then that's a good time to get rid of them, give the fawns a chance to get big enough that where they're not in so much danger.
Yeah, this whole idea of predator control, population control, some people don't get it. But, listen, man is the ultimate predator in this world these days. And if we don't do our part to knock those populations down, they're going to get out of whack.
Exactly. With the coyote hunting, though, too many people in one area is not good, because you'll educate them and then nobody will be able to get them. You might pick one off when you're out deer hunting, but once you educate that coyote, he's not going to come to the call no more.
How big is the average coyote you're killing?
I don't weigh very many of them, but I would say the average male is probably in the 30, 32 pound range, and probably the average female a little bit smaller than 30 pounds, probably 28 to 30. You do get bigger ones. We've killed coyotes. I guess the biggest one was about 46 or 47 pounds, and that's pretty rare. A 40-pound coyote that's a pretty big one.
40-pound coyote's got to eat a lot of fawns and rabbits and pheasants and turkeys, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. This time of year when the fawns are on the ground, I use a lot of fawn distress sounds, and it's fun out there using fawn distress, because some of them deer, they just go crazy.
Oh,
they're running all around. You're just hoping that they don't run you over in the dark.
Well, and speaking of that, getting back to a subject you were talking about just before the break, you set up out in the middle of the field?
Yes. Usually I try to go when it's really dark. I don't like full moon nights. I know some of my friends like Kevin Rott and them, they do good on the full moon, but I usually won't even go out anymore in the full moon. The darker, the better. And I'll get out in the middle of the field. I like to be 100, 200 yards from the nearest woods if I can get it, because I want to be able to spot them before they get out to me, and they can cover ground fast. So we get right out in the middle of the field, and I use Icotech Night Stalker call, and I'll set my Night Stalker out there. A lot of times I only will set it maybe 5-10 yards, just far enough it don't ring my ears, but I usually don't get very far from me. And then I just stand out in the field and call, and I use a thermal scanner, which is a monocular, and I just stand there and I just turn in circles, scanning the whole field. And you want to scan that field pretty fast, because them things can get right out there in the middle of the field on you without you seeing them pretty good.
So are you standing then with a bipod or a tripod when you make these shots, or are you dropping down to make the shots?
No, pretty much everybody uses a tripod. Put the gun right on the tripod, and then we just leave the gun set there when we're scanning, and then obviously, we can turn the gun 360 degrees to get any coyote that's coming in. And then too, when you see them out in the field, they look like a big target, but they're only about 6 to 7 inches deep through the chest, so they're not a huge target. So you need a pretty steady rest.
Well, and the reason you can hunt in pitch black is because of this thermal, right? If you used something that needed a light source of some kind, you probably, you wouldn't have as good a luck. That's for sure. Right.
The thermal is amazing technology. Until you've looked through one of them and used them at night, you cannot believe how they'll work. We see mice out there in the field. It's nothing to see a mouse out there in the field at 100 yards away. Anything that's putting out a little bit of heat, that thermal will pick up. And it's just, if there's a coyote in that field and you hit him with that thermal, he just stands right out. We can actually see out there after dark, and they rely on no light at all, so it don't matter if it's daylight or dark. But when you're scanning with that thermal and there's an animal out there, we'll pick him up easier than you could in the broad daylight.
Well, obviously a cow or a horse is going to show up, but what about like a deer? I mean, you said you wouldn't want beginning hunters to go with a thermal because identifying that target can be a little tricky, at least at first.
Yes, like it can be, if you don't know what you're looking at with the thermal, a fox or a bobcat or a coyote all look the same. And obviously, most of the year we don't want to shoot a fox out there because, there is a season on them. And bobcats, they're never legal after dark. So the best setup is for somebody that's fairly new at it is to get a thermal scanner, but then use a night vision scope, because with the night vision scopes, it's easier to identify the animal. It doesn't pick it up like the thermal does, but it's a lot easier to identify the animal. After you've used thermal enough, you can identify them right off because they move so much different, and there's little things about them that lets you know what they are. Like for me, if I see a fox, his tail actually looks longer than his whole body does, and you don't see that on a coyote. So that's fairly easy. Now, like a deer, they're pretty obvious from a coyote or anything like that. So it's easy to distinguish the coyote from the deer, but distinguishing bobcats, fox, and coyote is a little tricky.
I really enjoy the videos you've been posting online. How do you get those?
Well, my scope actually does videos. I just have to hit the button on it, and it does the videoing for me. Like the other night, I was out hunting, and I was using the fawn distress, and I called in a bear, and I shut the call off because I didn't want the bear to get my call. And so, but the bear, it knew where that fawn distress was coming, and he came right across the field, and I let him get up there. I have a rangefinder on my rifle, and I let him get up at 18 yards, and then I stopped.
Do you have that on video?
Oh, yes, I do.
Would you post that on the page and I'll share it? I think that'd be very cool.
Yeah, okay, I sent it to you in a message.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'll look for that. But yeah, if you could post it on the page, that makes it easier too. And speaking of that, like, is there a Randy Booty Coyote Hunter website or something? Or where do we find you online, Randy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, we have George Windemeyer and I have Savage Dog Outdoors on Facebook. So you can go to Savage Dog Outdoors on Facebook.
Okay.
Or you can just go to my page, Randy Booty, on Facebook. I post most of the videos on there and all the kill pictures.
Yeah, it's very, very neat. Oh yeah, I'll make another look for that bear video. Sometimes I get so many things coming in, Randy, that I just kind of lose track of them. But yeah, I want to see that. That sounds very cool.
Yeah, I was going to post it on your page, but I couldn't find the place to post anything on there that day for some reason.
It could have been one of those days Facebook was screwing around because they've been raising heck with me lately.
Well, okay.
All right, Randy, listen, I appreciate your time. Savage Dog Outdoors on Facebook. His name is Randy Booty. He's one of the best coyote hunters out there. Randy, appreciate your time. I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen.
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike.
The pleasure's mine. We'll talk again. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, Shaun KcKeon of MUCC talking about their On the Water program. And then after that, we'll wrap up the second hour with this week's Ask Avery segment. A question from a viewer wants my thoughts on hunter and boater education classes in the schools. And I will be happy to talk about that coming up yet in this hour of Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Lansing on WILS 1320 AM. And north of the bridge in Iron Mountain, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by MUCC's On the Ground program. On the Ground, OTG, is a program to improve habitat for fish and wildlife across the state. For details, check out the Michigan United Conservation Club's website, mucc.org. That's mucc.org. By the way, while you're there, if you want to save 25% on your membership, either a new membership or a renewal, use the promo code Mike, all caps MIKE, promo code Mike, and save 25%. How cool is that? Speaking of MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs, of which I am a proud member, Shaun KcKeon is the education director for MUCC with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Shaun, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, a pleasure. What's going on in your world these days?
Yeah, so we are working on field season. It's kicked off with our on-the-water programs. So we were paused for several months as we figured out the COVID pandemic, but we've been back in the field in July. We've had 3 events, and we have 5 more on the calendar leading into the fall. And you were at one of those events, so we appreciate you coming out and giving back to the resources.
Yeah, the On-the-Water project at the Bay City State Recreation Area. And that was your first jump back into it, and I was very impressed. I mean, you guys, the mask, the social distancing, the hand sanitizer, you were able to get the job done and keep people safe, which I appreciate.
Yeah. So that was a real good event. We had 35 people total come out to that event at Bay City State Park and give us their morning to pick up waste around the bay. We brought in about 350 pounds worth of trash that morning from mostly the park itself, and we had a couple people out on boats picking stuff up out on the bay, out in the water. Everything from cigarette butts to construction barrels. It was all part of that event. So we've been lucky that we've had good participation. People have been excited to get out, and the 2 events we've done after that had good participation as well. So we've been real excited to get people back out and provide the opportunity to contribute to what they believe in, taking care of the environment.
And what's next on the calendar, Shaun?
Yeah, so the next event we have is the Clinton River. We're headed to the southeast corner of the state. So after Bay City, we went up to Sault Ste. Marie, and then last weekend we were in Grand Haven. And this weekend we're coming all the way back across, and on August 8th we will be at Yates Cider Mill in Rochester. And that's been a site that we've been to 4 years running, and we always seem to find more things to pick up and more things to get out of that river.
Isn't that interesting? You can go back to the same spot year after year and still pick up stuff.
Yeah, so it's good for program security, but bad for the big picture of the resource, that people just can't get their minds wrapped around packing out what they take in with them.
And you get 2 different programs here, very similar. On the ground, which was the original, and on the water, which is the new one. They're very similar, but obviously deal with different areas.
Yeah, yep. So on the ground is focused on terrestrial work, and we work on public lands and state game areas. So we partner with the DNR to get things done that the biologists and the technicians who manage those areas might not have time to do, or some of their wish list projects. And then from on-the-ground success the last 8 years, we came up with an on-the-water version focusing on the aquatic side, rivers, lakes, and streams, and doing a lot of invasive species removal, as well as trash pickups to try to make the waterways, which everyone in Michigan believes in, that fresh water is why we're here. So trying to protect that and continue to engage people in it.
How does somebody become a part of this? How do they volunteer?
Yeah, so the easiest way to do it is to visit our website, mucc.org, and then look for the On the Water program page, and you can get registered for an event that is near you. So like I said, we cover the whole state. We'll be in Rochester on the 8th of August, and then we'll be in Williamston here in the Lansing area on the 29th. We have an event in Manistee in mid-September, and then we'll be in the UP and Kalamazoo in October. So we have several opportunities here as the summer continues and the fall starts before the hunting seasons get going to get outside and be a part of it.
Wonderful. As education director, Shaun, you have a lot of things on your plate. One of them, a big method of education and introducing kids to the outdoors, was your kids camp in the summertime. Unfortunately, because of COVID, you couldn't do that this year. I certainly understand why, but boy, that's got to be a big disappointment.
Yeah, so the camp has been running continuously since the 40s, and this is the first year that we were not able to have it. So we're very proud of what our camp is and how it connects about 400 kids a summer to natural resources. We teach them hunting, fishing, canoeing, kayaking, wilderness survival. They get hunter safety certified with us down there as well. So it was a pretty big blow to the organization to not be able to offer that this year. what we did instead was create kind of a take-home, we called it a camp-to-go bundle. And so we mailed out curriculum pieces and activities for families to do together that were based on activities that we would do at camp. So we provided the lesson plans basically to teach kids how to build shelters in the woods in their local park, or what to identify if they're at the beach swimming. They can learn about macroinvertebrates with their family and their friends. So we were able to pivot a little bit, and we sent those packets out to about 160 people. So not quite the amount, that 400 that we normally see, but we still definitely were able to connect with different families around the state in a different method to bring the camp to them, so to speak.
Wonderful, Shaun. Listen, keep up the good work. I'll send people to the website MUCC.org to sign up for these on the water and on the ground projects. And also, use the promo code Mike for 25% off on your membership. Shaun, we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Have a good one.
You as well. We'll take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, this week's Ask Avery segment came into me via email. My email address is mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, and you can talk with me there anytime. Send me the email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine Show in Sandusky on WMIC, that's 660 AM. You can hear us in Port Huron on WPHM 1380 AM. And let's go to Manistee, WMLQ 97.7 FM. The Ask Avery segment is brought to you every week by Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoorsmen and women, and they can help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. And the way this works is, this is a weekly segment. It gives you a chance to ask me a question, or you can give me a question that you would like me to pass along to somebody else. You can send me those questions via any of the social media outlets, or you can just send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That's mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. And that's what this week's question comes from. Raymond Prettyman sent me an email, and he says, hi, Mike. First of all, I just started listening to your show, and I absolutely love it. Well, thank you. He said, I found out about it in a rather odd way. I was sitting at my boat at the marina, and I saw your truck go by and thought, I've never heard of this show. I'll do some research. And he said, I followed up on it, and I really, really enjoy it. The crux of his question is, he said, I questioned a couple of things about how the school system goes about teaching kids and adults about hunter safety and boater safety. He said, when I took hunter safety, I took it at the local conservation club, and boater safety at the local boat storage. For Michigan being heavily rooted in the outdoors, I always wondered why there was never a section of hunter safety or boater safety in the public schools. Everyone I went to high school and college with, all of them have driven a boat or hunted, and most of them never taken a class. He said, I'd like to hear your opinions on this. Well, back in the old days, my boating safety and hunter safety classes were offered in the schools. That's where I got them from, but we're talking a long, long time ago. These days, when you start, at least in some parts of the state, let's say the southern parts of the state that are more urban and less rural, when you start talking about hunter safety classes in a school, it makes some people nervous because some people hunt with a gun, right? But that being said, there are some schools who do allow such things, usually after school as part of a scouting program or something else. And there is also, what's it called? National Archery in the Schools program. That has actually been quite popular, and there have been a fair number of schools who have signed up for that. As far as boating safety, both boating safety and hunter safety classes, like everything else in the world, have taken a big hit because of COVID. Some of those classes had been offered online as a way to make it easier for kids to get those classes, but even those had been put on hold because of COVID. I agree. Now, in the northern part of the state, there are still some school districts who do offer boating safety and hunter safety. And I agree, obviously, it would be a great way to get kids involved. But when you look at the big picture and you're trying to teach these kids so many things, so many different math skills and language skills and computer skills and all this other stuff, and resources for school districts getting tighter and tighter all the time, I get the fact that there just aren't the funds to do this like we used to do in the old days, to offer these classes in school. Would it be a wonderful way to help expose kids to the outdoors and to get them involved in the outdoors? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. As a way around this a little bit, the DNR has offered some new youth hunting seasons. And I always get confused, the youth season, the mentored, the apprentice, but there is a way now to get kids out hunting without taking the hunter safety class, at least for a couple of years. And so that kind of gets around this whole thing as well. They can go out and they can hunt with you for a couple of years. Eventually, of course, they have to take the hunter safety class before they can get their license, before they get their certificate to get their licenses in other states, for sure. But it's a wonderful question, and I'm not sure I have a great answer for it. I mean, it's obviously a source of concern. And if there is a way, if there are any administrators or teachers or anybody listening who want to, make this available in your school, God bless you, go for it. But I really don't think in today's world we're going to see it as part of the sanctioned and offered curriculum that we did in the old days. But things are changing. It doesn't mean, though, that our emphasis on getting kids in the outdoors has to change. That has to be more fervent than ever, because the hunter numbers are declining at a crazy, unbelievable, scary rate. If you want to send me a question for the Ask Avery segment, please do, just like Randy Prettyman did. And Randy, listen, next time you see me at the marina, flag me down. Let's stop and shoot the breeze a little bit. I would really enjoy that. So send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, or hit me up on one of the social media outlets. Probably an email the best, though, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. And thank you, as always, to our friends at Security Credit Union for making the Ask Avery segment possible. Check them out online at securitycu.org. That's securitycu.org. Feel free to send me a question or give me a question you would like to have passed along to somebody else, and I will be sure to address it on the weekly Ask Avery segment. We'll take a break for the top of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk RVs. RVs with Andy James of General RV in hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yider Insurance Group, Forward Corporation and T.R. McTaggart, Angler Quest Boats, Security Credit Union, Garber Chevrolet, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery, and welcome to hour number 3 of this week's Outdoor Magazine show right here on the Outdoor Magazine Radio Network, 29 AM and FM stations across the great state of Michigan, with the goal of celebrating this outdoor lifestyle, encouraging people to get outdoors, to get some fresh air, to have some fun. And this year, isn't that more important than ever? We're in the month of August already. Can you believe that? I can't. This summer has just absolutely flown by. Now, there's still lots of summer out there yet, right? A lot of people, myself included, find myself kind of looking forward to the cooler fall days and all the outdoor activities that brings, but I'm always careful never to wish away summertime. And this summer, something I've been noticing, as I drive around and I look at the freeways and the roads, I'm seeing an absolute ton of RVs, motorhomes, campers, fifth wheels on the road. And it got me thinking, there's a reason for that, I would imagine, because people can't fly to go places, but they can still drive. And I'm thinking, man, what a great opportunity for folks who are in the RV business. When you talk about RVs, you got to talk about General RV, their website, generalrv.com, generalrv.com. A very, very big group of RV dealers based right here in Michigan. Andy James is a sales manager at General RV, and he joins me now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Andy, welcome to the show. How are you? Andy, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Andy, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Mike?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. I gotta believe the RV business is booming this summer.
It is, especially with the shutdown and that sort of thing. It's really got a lot of pent up demand, and it's really been good for our state and our business.
And what is it that people are buying? Is it across the board, or you got a couple little niche markets, niche areas people are concentrating on?
No, it's really across the board. It's from pop-ups to small travel trailers all the way up to your, 35, 40-foot fifth wheels, motorhomes, you name it. It's really across the board.
Tell me about.
Obviously, we've seen an increase in the families that want to get out with their families to make memories, and so like your bunk houses, travel trailers that sleep multiple people. That there's been an increase in that obviously as well.
Making memories and getting people outdoors. I mean, that's what it's all about. And that's, one of the things I love about what I do is it's a fun thing to do. I got to believe being in the RV industry, I mean, you're pedaling, you're pushing, you're selling fun.
Oh, 100%. It's definitely a lifestyle and definitely something that people can feel comfortable with and be able to spend time with their family and, enjoy our great state and all the great campgrounds that we have here to enjoy in the state of Michigan.
Tell me about General RV. You guys you're the big dog in the state, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we like to think so. I mean, we've been in business for 59 years. We have over 13 supercenters nationwide, 6 of which are in Michigan. So we definitely have a huge presence here in Michigan to take care of everyone in that camping lifestyle.
Now, do all of your stores offer big service centers as well? I mean, when I buy a rig from you, how do I get it taken care of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We have multiple service bays at every single location. We have hundreds of RVIA certified technicians across our state and nation, for that matter. Somebody that, even if we have a lot of people that might take it to Florida, whether for the winter, and we're able to even service them down in Florida when they take it down there, or Richmond, Virginia, or Utah, or some of the other states as well.
One thing I'm seeing from folks in the boating industry this summer, they're seeing, a lot like you are, that the pent-up demand, the boat sales are crazy, to the point, Andy, where the inventory just isn't there for some boat dealers. Are you seeing that in the RV business as well?
Yeah, we're seeing a little strain in that right now. The good news is that General RV did not cancel one single order through the whole COVID process. So we actually have over 6,000 RVs on order. We still have about 1,900 RVs in stock. Now that ranges all the way from travel trailers to motorhomes, but there are certain floor plans and that sort of thing we're really running into a problem with, because factories were shut down for a period of time. So we've got, they're working 7 days a week right now, and we also have our transportation companies running 24 hours a day trying to get all the units to us that we can.
Who makes RVs? What states do these come out of?
Well, it just depends on what you're looking at. A lot of it, you would say that the heart of it is in the Elkhart, Indiana area, but there's also some built on the West Coast. As far as the motorhome side of things, there's different states, whether it be Alabama. There's other states that they make those in as well, but a lot of it comes out of Indiana. I don't think we have any big manufacturers here in Michigan, do we? No, we really don't. It's close to the border, but no, everything, a lot of that, what we have, comes in straight from the Elkhart area.
I gotta believe, like everything else, that RVs today are better than ever. They're probably more comfortable, more high tech than ever. Is that the case?
Oh, absolutely. They are investing serious dollars in making sure that they are on the forefront of all the different technology. Some of these RVs, you can be a restaurant and turn on your air conditioner from your phone. So they have on-demand type services, Wi-Fi, satellite dishes, everything that would make you feel comfortable like you're at home, but yet you're able to spend it outdoors with your family.
So of the different categories you have, is there one thing that's most popular these days?
Well, I mean, I would have to say right now with the pandemic and what we're going through, it's your travel trailers and fifth wheels that sleep multiple people, so families can get outdoors and not have to, because they're uncomfortable with flying and staying in hotels, and they're creating memories with their family. And so that's definitely we need every single travel trailer / fifth wheel we can get that can sleep multiple people.
And what should we look for, Andy? I'll be honest. I've never bought a trailer, never bought an RV. I wouldn't know where to start. Help me get started, please.
Well, you really want to get started with the tow vehicle is, what are you towing it with and what your capabilities are. And then we start with the wants and needs of what you might be looking for, how many you're wanting to sleep, how many children do you have, how old are they, how tall are they, and what different things that you might want out of your RV purchase. And then we kind of tailor it down to what floor plans would work best for all of your needs.
And I would think the options these days are pretty much endless.
They are. I mean, we partner with, we have over 100 different types of travel trailer and fifth wheel companies that we partner with. And that's not even getting into the floor plans. I mean, you're talking hundreds and hundreds of floor plans, if not thousands.
With all those choices, do you recommend going online and getting a basic idea of what you're looking for before we walk in the door there at General RV?
Well, we have a great process here for just people that are just walking in, because it can be very intimidating with an RV and all the different types of options, floor plans, and keeping in mind in budget as well. So we do have a wonderful website that has a lot of information on it as well. We even have some things on our website that will guide you in what your capability of towing, and then all the different specs of every different floor plan on the website as well. How much it weighs, what are the sizes of the tanks, and what are the all the different specs that one might need. But we have hundreds of fully certified sales professionals that guide each and every customer through the process that might not want to spend 6-7 hours online.
You talk about budgets. What kind of price ranges are we talking?
Well, that's the great thing with General RV. We have travel trailers starting at $9,000 all the way up to motorhomes in the $500,000 range.
And I would think those trailers, because there's no motor in them, you can get a pretty good deal on something like that, right? Because you're buying the shell, you're buying what's in there, but you don't have a power plant in those things.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're very budget oriented. We have travel trailers. Most of the travel trailers will range from whether it be $9,000 all the way up to, let's say, $45,000, and then we also have a multiple range of fifth wheels, and that can range from $25,000 all the way up to $100,000 or more on a fifth wheel, depending on what one wants or needs.
Andy, I got to take a break here on the Outdoor Magazine show, but when we come back, I want to talk with you more about this. We're talking with Andy James of a General RV. He's in Birch Run, but there are several General RV stores across the state. The website, generalrv.com, generalrv.com. I'm seeing a lot of RVs on the roads this summer. Motorhomes, fifth wheels, trailers, pop-up campers, you name it. People can't fly, but they still want to get away. And what a great way to do that with an RV. A great way to spend quality time with your family. You don't have to worry about the crowds of an airport. You don't have to worry about sitting next to somebody on an airplane. I think it's a very, very good way to go. GeneralRV.com is the website, GeneralRV.com. We'll take a break. Lots more coming up after the break right here on Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Holland on WHTC, AM and FM, 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Ishpeming on WIAN, that's 1240 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by the Hunter Safety System. You know, it's going to be that time of year. You're pretty soon you're going to be going up a tree stand to hunt out of. Maybe you're out there right now to prep your trees, get them ready. Listen, there is no reason in the world to go up a tree without a full body harness. There are two types of tree stand hunters, those who have fallen and those who will. So why not protect yourself, your family, your business, your investments, your workers, whatever, by wearing a full body harness? I recommend Hunter Safety System because I know these guys, they're quality people, they make great products, but if for some reason you don't want to wear Hunter Safety System products, please use somebody's. A full body harness from the time you leave the ground while you're hunting and back down. And don't forget about the lifeline to keep you attached to the tree the entire time as well. Every excuse you can come up with not to wear a full body harness, I can come up with a reason on why you're being an idiot for not doing it. Check them out online, huntersafetysystem.com. That's huntersafetysystem.com. While you are online, I would encourage you to check out my website. That's MikeAveryOutdoors.com. And also this website, GeneralRV.com. GeneralRV.com is the website of Michigan-based General RV, the RV superstores. Andy James is a sales manager there. He's out of their Birch Run store, and he's with me now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Again, Andy, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. I know you're busy.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Let's walk through the lineup here a little bit and start, I don't want to say at the bottom, but at the small end. The pop-up camper, they can be towed by just about any vehicle. And I see an awful lot of those out there. It's a great way to kind of get into the RV lifestyle, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, get you off the ground. You know, you got your people that have been in tents in the past that want to get off the ground and have a little room, have a little privacy, and for their family.
And a surprising amount of room in some of these things.
Oh yeah. There's even some pop-ups out there that have slide outs even to create a mat. You wouldn't believe the amount of room that goes inside one of these, the amount of sleeping that you can do as well.
If you get a higher end one, I mean, can you get a furnace? Can you get air conditioning? Can you get a stove? All that good stuff?
Oh, all of them are going to have a furnace. Your higher end ones, yes, you're going to have an air conditioner. You're going to have even heated pads. You're going to have additional lights everywhere. You're going to, it's every amenity that you would have, refrigerators, outside grills. It's endless.
And is it accurate? Did I overstate this, that they can be pulled by just about any vehicle?
Yeah, your pop-ups can be pulled just about anything. You still have, some pop-ups that they range anywhere from, let's say 1,100 pounds to 200 pounds for the bigger one.
You mentioned these sliders or these slide outs. Man, that has really changed the way people can use an RV.
Oh, absolutely. It just opens up the whole floor plan tremendously. And you can get, some units have one slide out all the way up to some of the bigger fifth wheels have 5 or 6 slide outs.
Can you, moving up the line here, do the trailers offer slide outs, or is that something you don't see in that type of a configuration?
Oh no, there's hundreds of different models that we carry that have slide outs and different size slide outs and multiple slide outs. Just depends on what your wants and needs are and what your family needs are.
And what's the range on the sizes of these things for a trailer? Well,
they range from as far as the travel trailer goes, you range from 16 foot all the way up to 42 feet on a travel trailer.
Wow. And you know what else I'm seeing? Well, I'm talking to you. Of course you know what else I'm seeing. It is a lot of these ones that are toy haulers where there's room in the back for bikes or sleds or something.
Oh, yeah. People love those things to be able to put their kayaks in, their motorcycles. Some of those toy haulers also have generators on board, so they can go just about anywhere and have all the capabilities of running their air conditioner. Some of them have gas tanks on board, so they can fill up their toys that they're going to be putting in the toy hauler. So, a wide range of scenario there.
Well, you mentioned a generator. That's something I almost overlooked here. That would be a key piece of equipment in just about any RV, I would think.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, with our great state, we have so many great state campgrounds and private campgrounds that you're going to have electrical hookups. It's the people that might want to put it on property or maybe go to a friend's house without the full capabilities of hooking up to 30 amp or 50 amp service, or just want to get out in the middle of nowhere. Then yes, a generator is key to be able to using all of your features in your RV. And even if it doesn't have one on board, we also sell generators that have the inverter in them, so you can hook your power cord straight into the generators as well if it doesn't necessarily come with one. Gotcha.
And you're talking about these travel trailers up to 42 feet. I mean, at what point do we just make the jump over to a fifth wheel? Why would you want a 42-foot trailer instead of a fifth wheel?
Well, that just all depends on the person's wants and needs. I really can't answer that question. It's just each individual has different wants and needs in their particular situation. So,
well, let me rephrase then. What is the advantage of a fifth wheel, or why do you get more room? There we go. Do you get more room out of a fifth wheel of the same size or a travel trailer of the same size?
No, you're going to get more room on the fifth wheel, and also, budget comes into play too, because the fifth wheels are obviously going to be a little more expensive than your travel trailer because just the overall size of it, the height of it. You're usually going to get obviously a larger roof for your taller individuals. And then it also, the towing is easier with the fifth wheel sometimes than a standard travel trailer.
Gotcha. And then we move up to the top of the line, motorhomes. Man, there's a wide range. Some of these rigs I see going down the highway, Andy, I know they're nicer than my house.
Oh yeah, you ain't kidding. Me too, buddy. Yeah, it just amazes me when I walk into these things, and it's such a pleasure to be able to sell and service them here at General RV. But yeah, they are definitely nicer than my house. Some of these things.
Well, that's a whole different. You're talking a whole different group there. Usually, I would imagine older, retired. They're going to spend a lot of time in these. Whereas if you look at the pop-ups, probably a younger family, a smaller family. So again, it goes back to what you've been telling me over and over. You got to look at the family, and you got to think, how are we going to use this rig?
Yeah, we've had quite a few, and even the younger generations now, the ones that they want to take their family all over the country at some point, and they know that they're going to want to do that the next couple of years. The way they can social distance, they'll take their family out to some of the national parks and different. So we've seen an uptick in motorhomes as far as family goes as well.
You bring up an interesting point. When we're looking at an RV for our family, should we buy what we want, what we need right now, or should we look down the road a couple of years and say, hey, what might we need in the future, and let's just make that extra step right now?
Yeah, we talk about that during the interview process, and we give you all options so you as the consumer can make that educated decision. If you wanted to, spend a little extra money to get what you might think you might need in a few years, it's something that you do have to look at the future on. It's just to be able to service you for multiple years as opposed to just 1 or 2 years, if you know what your needs are going to be in the future.
Well, and that's the big if, right? If you know what your family is going to look like or need, that's the big question.
Yeah, if you have a young family that comes in, and maybe they just got married and they're looking at a small travel trailer to tow, and but if they plan on, having children in a couple, within a year or two, then they might want to, look at something with bunks in it and that sort of thing. Or they might just want to stick to a smaller one just to see if they want to make that part of their lifestyle before they, come in and upgrade. We have hundreds of people that upgrade each year as their, lifestyle changes and their wants and needs change too.
Well, and as you make this upgrade, it then makes a nice used rig out there available. What's the used market for RVs these days? Is there a supply out there? Are there units out there?
Oh man, we need everyone we can get. We are. I could use everyone I can get right now. There's such a huge market for used RVs as well. We are paying top dollar for every trade-in, and even people that want to just maybe get out of camping or their lifestyle change, they just want to sell it. We will buy RVs as well.
Well, it sounds like a great time to be in the RV industry, RV business, Andy.
It is. It really is. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun through this and being able to see the memories and with their family. And one thing we do too is we have a premier purchase experience. We give a personalized RV orientation on every single delivery, so when you leave how everything works before you take it. We don't just hand you the keys and hook you up and say go. We have a detailed process to make sure that you know what you're buying and how to use it. And there's so many, different buttons and features in the RV. We want to make sure that you're completely comfortable when you leave here.
Does that process then even include things as how to hook this thing up, how to back it up? Does it go into that much detail?
Oh yeah, we go through a hitching demonstration. We make sure that we show you how to hook it up, how to unhook it properly, and make sure that everybody's educated on the different. We make sure all your lights are working, obviously your brake controllers, and make sure that you're 100% safe for you and your family when you leave here.
Well, Andy, I tell you, you guys are tapped into a big part of this outdoor lifestyle. On my show, I'm always pushing the outdoor lifestyle. I'm always talking about the history and tradition and making these family memories. And I think you guys you and I are on the same path there. So it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time. Andy James of General RV in Birch Run, one of, I think, 6 Michigan, I'll call them RV superstores. The website is generalrv.com. That's generalrv.com. My mom and dad started out with a camper. We didn't even talk about campers, truck campers. We didn't even talk about that. I don't see many of those these days. They started out with a truck camper, and then they ended up getting a motorhome, and then they got a bigger motorhome. And boy, we spent a lot of time. They spent a lot of time, a lot of hours, a lot of miles, and just a great way to enjoy the great state of Michigan, especially since you can't fly. Do you want to fly right now? I sure don't. GeneralRV.com is the website. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. I got a few more things I want to talk about as we wrap up this week's Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Ludington on News 97.98, 98.7 WLDN. You can hear us in Mount Pleasant on WMMI, AM and FM, 830 AM, 92.3 FM. And you can hear us in Saginaw on our flagship stations, News Radio 790 WSGW and WSGW FM 100.5. I say flagship, as always, with no disrespect to any of our affiliates, but I have a very close relationship with the folks here at WSGW. When I say here, I'm in their studios right now. And for this 3 hours, we call it the Outdoor Magazine studio. Charlie Root in here with me doing a wonderful job, as always, as he waves to the adoring crowd. You can hear the crowd. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. You hear him out there? Thank you, Charlie. I do certainly appreciate it. Outdoor Magazine brought to you in part by my friends at Reader Landscaping. Reader can take care of your lawn and property because it's your nature and our nurture. Well, I was sitting out there the other night looking at the water feature that we have, and it was just so enjoyable. Sprinkler systems are key right now. It's still pretty dry. You don't want to let your lawn dry up. They can put in and maintain sprinkler systems for you. Reader's also doing a lot of work these days, what I'm going to call up north. So your vacation or your summer home, they can take care of that for you as well. And it's time to think about a lawn repair, and rejuvenation as well. The folks at Reader can help you with all of those and more. Check them out online at readerlandscaping.com. That's readerlandscaping.com. Can you believe it's August? I really can't. Oh, but it is. Of course, every year for the last 12 years in August, I've gone to White River, Ontario to bear hunt. Can't do that this year, which makes my Michigan bear hunt coming up at the end of September even more important. I have been fishing a little bit. The walleye fishing for me on Saginaw Bay on the Angler Quest has been slowing down, as it typically does this time of year. There will be reports of people who will go out and get limit catches. Of course there will. There always is. But for me, it's been pretty slow. I did have an interesting day on the water most recently, though, with the most interesting part of my catch being a seagull. I got into some floating weeds, and there was a little bit of a chop, and I couldn't see right away that I had a line that had been tangled up and came to the surface. When that happens, the seagulls think, okay, that's an easy meal, and they come down and grab it. It did. It took off. My drag was screaming. I felt like I was salmon fishing, but you look out there, and there's a seagull at the end of your line. I was able to reel it into the boat, unhooked it. It was actually an immature bird. It was a gray color yet, not white color. And I posted a picture on my Facebook page, and somebody said, hey, that looks like a duck. Well, it actually did look like a duck, but it was an immature seagull. Was able to release him unharmed and no harm to me, which was important too. I let him go, and the stupid bird flew right to another one of my planer boards and got tangled up in it. That would have been a good bird to take out of the gene pool. Of course, I couldn't because it's illegal. And, I didn't want to do it anyway, but what a stupid, stupid bird. I'm thinking that it might be about time to maybe start switching over and looking for some perch, although I never have good luck with perch. Maybe this is the year I should concentrate on perch. I just don't... I do pretty well on walleye, but I can't find the perch, and when I do, I don't seem to be very good at catching them. But maybe this is the year I should give it a try, right? Hey, don't forget about our Wednesday night live every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock on the Mike Avery Outdoors YouTube channel and the Mike Avery Outdoors Facebook page as well. We almost always have giveaways, give away Speedy Blaze, that great Michigan-based alternative to firewood because it's made from recycled wood. I like it a lot. Clean burning, very hot, easy to start. Again, a Michigan-based family-owned product. I love that. We are taking a little bit of a moratorium on our Wednesday night live events where we bring people together. Like I'm chomping at the bit to do a Wednesday night live at Oscar and Joey's Roadhouse and the Lumberjack Restaurant in West Branch, but we can't. We just can't bring people together right now like that. So we're going to have to hold on that, out on that until we can be responsible socially and do that. What else? I bought a new pair of binoculars the other day. I bought them for a buddy of mine, actually Johnny Bowler. I had it narrowed down to loopholes and Vortex at the advice of the guys from Jay's Sporting Goods. I held them side by side. I got to be honest, the Vortex blew away the loopholes. Of course, it wasn't a $2,000 pair of loopholes. They were, middle of the range. And I was really, really impressed by those. And one final thing, I just got word that Mid-Michigan Hospital has put out the news release that we actually did this months and months ago, before, just as COVID was first breaking. And it's a story about my my weight loss journey and how I have, lost more than 100 pounds and so far keeping it off and have plans to keep it off for the rest of my life. It literally changed my life, losing that much weight. I worked with Mid-Michigan Hospital on that. And and they did a little article on that, and it's posted on my Facebook page as well if you want to learn more about that. My Facebook page, Mike Avery Outdoors, on Facebook. Also, listen, on Instagram, I'm out there on Instagram. I'm out there on YouTube. I'm out there on Vimeo. I'm out there on Twitter. Sometimes it's overwhelming. But you can always reach me Send me I should mention this, my website is MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and my email address, if you want to reach me, is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. You can always send me an email. Questions, complaints, gripes, criticisms, story ideas, I'm open to all of it. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. If I don't respond in what you consider a timely manner, send me a second one, put the topic, "Hey, stupid." That'll get my attention, but don't send me the first one with the "Hey, stupid." Wait till I don't respond. Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Welcome back to Outdoor Magazine. This segment, by the way, of the show brought to you by Wilds Plumbing and Heating. From plumbing, heating, air conditioning, sump pumps, ductwork cleaning, you name it, the folks from Wild can help you out. Thinking about putting a fireplace in the main floor this fall, and I'll be going to the folks at Wilds to see if they can do that for us. They've done it for us before. Everything to keep your house warm or cool, depending on the season, dry and comfortable. The folks at Wilds can take care of it, and they have for me for many years at 2 different houses now. I strongly encourage them. I wouldn't bring them into my house, and recommend you do the same if I did not believe in them. Check them out online at wildsplumbingandheating.com. That's wildsplumbingandheating.com. If you've been with us before, and if you have, thank you. And if you're new, thank you as well. You know that I like to wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar, and he's here once again. Dave, welcome back.
How you doing, Michael?
I am just fine, my friend, and I'm always glad to have you along with us. What do you have in mind for us today?
It's good to be along, I'm telling you.
Wonderful.
Well, I got a walleye Florentine. It's a great dish. We sell this at the restaurant for years and years. You need about, this is for 4 portions, and you need about 8 to 10 ounces of boneless, skinless walleye per person. You need 1 or more packages of fresh baby spinach. You want to clean it, wash it good, and de-stem it, and you want to coarse chop through it, okay? About a medium onion diced fine, 2, 3, 4 cloves of garlic, depending on your flavor needs. 1 nice big red bell pepper that you're going to dice about the same size as the onion, so it kind of looks alike. You need a jar of chicken gravy, 4 ounces or a half a cup of smoked fish. Make sure it's boneless. Take the skin off, and you kind of shred it up a little bit. And if you like, you could add some shrimp to this, maybe a half a pound. You take the tail off. If you're going to use raw shrimp, make sure you clean out the vein in it, get the skin off, take the tail, and kind of coarse chop through that. So it's maybe 1/3 slices through the shrimp. You need 2 to 3 ounces of heavy cream, a couple of beaten up eggs, some dry white wine. If you're going to be using, say, Chardonnay to enjoy this meal with, by all means use that or whatever. If you don't use wine, you could add some water, same amount, 2 to 3 ounces. A half a bunch of scallions, sliced thin, washed up. I like in this dish mace. It's like a real heavy-duty flavor of the nutmeg, or you could opt out and not have it at all. Need a little bit of flour and some olive oil. So you're going to dredge the fish in flour and then dip it in the beaten up eggs. In a medium hot frying pan, you're going to start the fish with the skin side up, brown it, turn it over, get it a little more brown, put it on a baking sheet, kind of separate it a little bit, 350-degree oven. The fish will be totally done by the time you get done with the rest of this dish in the saute pan. Maybe wipe the pan out a little bit, and the onions and the garlic. You want to saute this just a little bit, kind of at a lower temperature. You don't want to burn it. You just want to make it transparent, break the flavor out. You could add the wine, the gravy, pepper, everything else goes in there except for the spinach and the smoked fish and the shrimp. Cook that just for a little while, just a couple minutes. Then you're going to add the shrimp, smoked fish, and spinach. Kind of cover that up for a minute or so. Wilt that spinach throughout the dish, you know. And then you can add with a heavy cream, bring it back up to a nice boil, taste it, and see if this is the flavor you want. You might want to grate some fresh black pepper in it, kind of build that up a little bit. If you like spicy, now would be the time to add a little bit of cayenne or Cajun or whatever you like. And you're going to place the fish on a plate and then spoon this sauce in equal amounts all over each and every one of them. And then you can top with the sliced scallion. And this would be great if you ring the plate with rice. It would really be a nice improvement, and it would make it look so, flamboyant kind of a dish, and it's great. I love it. Like I said, we sold this at the restaurant for years.
Well, and when you mention shrimp, you say you give me the option to put shrimp in there. I'm putting shrimp in there, no doubt about it.
Me too. That's what we did when we did the TV show. We used this recipe, same one. And it went good. Been fishing a lot, Mike?
Have been, but it's really starting to slow down. At least for me. There'll be a lot of people out there still getting fish, but this is normally the time of year when I start to struggle a little bit, though, David.
Yeah, I know. This normally, when we used to fish a lot, this is the time of the year you really had to work for them.
Yep.
You actually had to put crawlers down, sometimes in shallow water, and sometimes go deep. It was just...
Well, I'm not desperate enough to use the crawlers. In fact, probably never will be desperate enough to use the crawlers. But
I know. Your crawlers are banned on your boat.
Yeah, they are. All right, David. Always a pleasure. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Everybody
you.
Be safe and safe out there.
Wild game chef extraordinaire Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show, as are you, because seriously, if you weren't listening, there'd be no reason to do the show. No reason to put the podcast version of the show out there. No reason to keep the social media posts going. And everything would just fall apart. So you are truly the most important part of this entire picture. And I do appreciate you. Join me during the week on the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Also the social media outlets. And if you want to get in touch with me, again, you can always do that with a question, a concern, a gripe, an observation. That's fine. Email address, Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. That's Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time right here on Outdoor Magazine.